everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the H-Bomb and J-Rock unboxing show. I'm Henry H-Bomb Higgins.
And I'm Josh J-Rock Higgins.
And today we're entering the Octagon. So it's time to knuckle up with 3 of the biggest names in UFC history. In the blue corner, we have the American Psycho, Chael Sonnen. On the red corner, we have
Antonio Silva.
And in the middle corner, Nick Diaz, the bad boy of UFC. And we'll start with him. So on the back of these, the boxes come in very detailed presentation. On the back, gives a little description of each fighter. So for Nick Diaz, we have: pick your poison when you face notorious Northern California native Nick Diaz. Dangerous fighter. His world-class jiu-jitsu makes him one of the most dangerous fighters in the world on the ground. And his signature technique on the feet, relentless boxing attack, as prolific as it is punishing, has its own nickname, the Stockton Slap. Combine that with Ironman level conditioning and a fight anyone, anytime attitude, and you have one of the nastiest fighters to ever compete in the Octagon. So, if we have a look at the figure itself, it comes secure in a little clamshell type thing there, but there's no annoying wires or anything to take, it just pops out. And the figure itself, quite sturdy, big feet, obviously it's a caricature of the fighters, has a surprising amount of articulation. There's some twisting in the knee there. His left leg has none. His waist has articulation, so you can obviously pose him in a number of different ways. His right shoulder and his right wrist have some movement, whereas his left wrist also has some movement, and his left shoulder has some rotatory movement rather than up and down. So you can pose them in a number of ways, and as I say, it is a caricature, but it does look like Mr. Diaz. So for me, that is a win. Now, we'll place him over here, and we will move on to Antonio Bigfoot Silva. And with regards to him, he also has a blurb. Brazilian heavyweight wrecking machine Antonio Bigfoot Silva has made a career out of busting heads and parlay bets. Don't know what that means. Silva demolished the most feared heavyweight of his generation, Fedor Emelianenko, in Strikeforce back in 2011. And more recently put Alistair Overeem's title hopes on hold, knocking out the Demolition Man in the 3rd round at UFC 156. Step in with Bigfoot and you better respect the hands. You can't miss them, they're the size of lunch boxes. So again, J-Rock's going to open this one for us. So how easy was that to open?
Very easy.
Okay.
Definitely a lot easier than the last two that I got. So, Antonio Silva has articulation on both knees which twist, articulation on the shoulders, his right one goes up and down, his left one twists. Both of his wrists twist in the same way, and his head twists. And it looks like both Antonio Silva and Nick Diaz have the same articulation.
Okay, it does seem like they are pretty much the same fighter. You can have a look there. Pretty much the same model, but that happens in action figures a lot, where they have the same initial posing. The old WWE figures back when it was WWF in the early 90s had like 6 or 7 different figures, but they all had like their own different look, but they all did the same thing. So it was like 6 or 7 different things to cover everyone. So it looks like they're doing the same thing with the UFC guys here. Lastly, we have Chael Sonnen, who's my personal favourite UFC fighter of all time. Guy can talk like nobody's business. He is, we were just talking WWE, he is a pro wrestler in the UFC. That's what Chael Sonnen is, and he's perfect. If you don't believe me, look up on YouTube. I'll actually put a link in our description of Chael Sonnen's greatest verbal hits. They're brilliant. Anyway, what it says on the back here, as I was just talking about, Chael Sonnen raises the level of trash talk to performance art and then backs it up in the Octagon. It's a combination rarely seen in pro sports. The former All-American Greco-Roman wrestlers feud and ensuing bouts with Anderson Silva rocketed Sonnen to stardom. Despite coming up short twice in his attempts to claim the middleweight belt for his encore, he found someone bigger to pick on, light heavyweight champion John Jones. Don't let the talk fool you, Sonnen is dead serious about that one. Now, they mentioned there his fights with Anderson Silva. They are fantastic fights. If you're into the UFC and you haven't seen them, you really should. Especially the first one. Silva, greatest of all time, untouchable until he met Chael Sonnen. Okay, Sonnen did lose 4.5 rounds of a 5-round fight. Were all Chael Sonnen. That's all I've got to say about that. Anyway, back to the figure. Okay, and this one does have different articulation, or different poses at least, to the previous two. His right shoulder rotates the same, but the arm is held in a different way. So it seems like they all have the same articulation points, which are the knees rotating, shoulders, wrists, waist and head. However, Anderson Silva, as is right, is unique among these 3 figures at least by having his own signature hold. Way to hold himself, sorry. And again, some sponsors on the tights. And American Psycho is pretty damn cool. His base is strong, again it's caricature. So we have there all 3 fighters from the UFC range. And we bring them in. And there we are. 3 fighters from the UFC. Legends in their own lifetime. Legends long after they're gone. Fantastic fighters. Chael Sonnen, obviously my favourite, so he's the best. And a fantastic little range. If you can find these, I actually got these from Home Bargains. And again, I mentioned this on the last video, with Home Bargains, it's just potluck. You go in, whatever's there is there, you pick it up and you go with it. So that's UFC. It's a shorter video than the last ones because obviously it's not as much to discuss with the figures themselves. But thank you very much for watching. We will see you again next week where we will hopefully have a surprise because it will be a box. I have no idea what's in. So this is H-Bomb saying goodbye.
This is J-Rock saying goodbye.
Thank you very much for watching. See you again next week.